Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready to get your fix?
With the Wicks here on this beautiful Friday, April Fool's Day, actually, April 1st, 2022. Now, there's a lot of jokes going out and about, a bunch of different jokes, actually, that you might believe at first sight. Well, don't believe a lot of them, because like I just mentioned, it is,
Why Ford won't be making it today?
Yeah, he won't
April
be
Fool.
April Fool's Day. So, I've seen a couple of things that kind of made me want to jump out of my body and start screaming like, oh yeah, Odell Beckham Jr. reuniting with Kevin O'Connell and the Minnesota Vikings. I was like, wait a minute. And then I had to think. I was like, oh yeah, April 1st. Okay, April Fool's Day. It was on Twitter. It was a fucking stupid-ass post, I mean, you can't believe anything. It did say April Fool's at the end of it, but I didn't get that far when I was reading it, obviously. When I see somebody's reuniting with somebody, especially of OBJ stature, I mean, come on.
You didn't post it, did you?
Yeah, fuck no.
Oh, okay.
No, I just seen it, and my heart just about jumped out of my body and said, let's fucking go. But, nothing's really happening today. I mean, just you think a lot that a lot is happening, especially on the old Twitter, and then you go look, and it's just a bunch of jokes left and right. Well,
Will Smith memes.
Yeah, Will Smith memes. I mean, we'll see what Chris Rock has to do with the whole Jada Pinkett Smith situation, and we'll see that whole situation of itself is fucking bonkers. Okay, it's weird. They'll figure it out. They'll get over it eventually. But not a lot is happening today, except for, obviously, the Browns and tight end David Njoku are, well, in current talks for a contract extension, if you will. Collin Kaepernick is also in the move, so what is old buddy Collin Kaepernick up to? We'll dive into that as well, and then we'll get John's thoughts as well as my thoughts and my opinions on, what's the, most exciting move that we've seen this offseason. What kind of moves do we want to see going forward, and stuff of that type of nature. The good old football talk. That's what we're here to do on Friday Football Talk with my guest host here, Y4. So with that being said, are you ready to get your fix? So today, early this morning, I see a tweet. It was deleted since then because it was fugazi. It was an April Fool's joke. David Njoku went on Twitter and said, I have asked my agent to ask the Browns that I want a trade request. Okay, I want to get out of Cleveland. See you later. How you doing? Keep it moving. Well, just wasn't true. Obviously, it was an April Fool's joke. I'm sure the Cleveland Browns said, hey, go delete that fucking thing. I mean, geez Louise. We just brought you back. We franchise tagged you. We could have franchise tagged a whole other list of names that, would help our franchise, but we chose you. So he probably deleted that because of the Browns. Well, I think he also deleted it because the Browns and David Njoku are working on a contract extension. And now there is confidence that they will get this deal done by the July 15th deadline. Now, the deadline basically means if you do not get a contract extension before July 15th, after July 15th, your contract that you are currently on is permanent for the rest of the season. Until then, until July 15th, they have an opportunity to kind of work out a long-term deal, a long-term contract extension, whether that's 3, 4, 5 years, $60 million, $40 million, whatever the case may be. The Browns and tight end David Njoku are working constantly on getting a contract extension, what kind of, puzzles me a little bit because I think it was a year ago, the Browns decided, hey, we need to bring in some more weapons. So what do? What do they do? They bring in tight end Austin Hooper, and they also bring in tight end, what was his name? I want to say Hayden Hurst, but that's not right. Austin Hooper, and they have David Njoku. There was one other guy. Harrison Bryant, does that sound right?
Might be. We'd have to ask Logan.
Yeah, we would have to ask Logan. But they had 3 tight ends on their roster. So that kind of told me right off the bat that, hey, they're not sold on what David Njoku can do. And I've been, a David Njoku fan since he was, since I actually used him on Madden. That may not seem kind of real. But at the same time, I think you kind of grow a little bit more love for a person when you kind of play with them on a game, on a video game, even though that is not real life. And then you watch them in the games, and you always keep your eye on those people that you're constantly playing with. And David was one of those guys that I was like, okay, he's a dog. Just give him a chance. He'll grow. I mean, it takes time, especially at the tight end position, where you only have like 3, 4, maybe even 5 top superstars in the National Football League, like a Travis Kelce, a George Kittle, a Mark Andrews, a Darren Waller. There's not many out there.
Njoku, like statistically, he might not add up to one of those tight ends.
Right.
A Kittle, a Kelce, a Waller. But is he comparable to a guy like Mercedes Lewis, where he's a really, really good blocking tight end?
Yeah, I think he is. I think he's a decent enough blocker anyways. Mm-hmm. Especially when you have Nick Chubb and
Kaepernick
Kareem Hunt.
plays at the same time. So, I mean, if they like him and they think that he adds that much to the team and he's a good blocking tight end and he can get out in front of Nick Chubb. They got Kareem Hunt again?
Yep.
Browns
are going to be just fine.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with bringing in Deshaun Watson. We'll see if a suspension comes for him. But they got Amari Cooper at their wide receiver position. There's talks of potentially bringing back Jarvis. Maybe even Odell Beckham Jr. as well, because Kevin Stefanski has been how do you want to say this, he basically said that, yeah, I like OBJ. I love OBJ. I would love to have him back on this team. And he's a free agent at this point in time, so maybe we could see a possible, a reuniting, if you will, with OBJ and the Cleveland Browns. That could be very interesting to see, because that right off the bat tells me that, well, it probably was Baker's fault. And I think that was the obvious thing. When OBJ Sr. kind of went on social media and said, hey, throw my son the goddamn ball, okay? He's open on, 80% of the plays that are happening, and you just don't seem to get him the ball. But I also seen different, where when he does throw him the ball, he had a lot of drops, okay? It just didn't seem like the right fit. OBJ is a guy who's, fit for stardom, almost. He's fit for Hollywood. He's fit for those big market teams.
New York, L.A., Vegas would be a good fit.
Vegas definitely would be a good fit as well. So, that's what OBJ is. If he goes back to Cleveland Browns, hey, that's cool, because then they got OBJ and Amari Cooper and then David Njoku. That offense would be electrifying, especially if Deshaun Watson doesn't get a suspension. I could not wait for that. But, David Njoku getting a contract extension before, or I guess anyways, what do you think on David Njoku for his contract extension? Do you think this is the right move for the Cleveland Browns, or do you think he still has some improving to do? Do you think he's the right guy going forward for the Cleveland Browns at the tight end position?
I think he's one of the staples on that team, on the offense. I think he's probably a really good leader. He's been there. He's been with this coaching staff. He's been with this line. He's been with these players.
Right.
And like I said, if he's a great asset to the line and can also be a threat in the red zone, yeah, you're going to want to keep him around as long as possible. And I think that's where a lot of success builds, is keeping guys in the building.
Yeah,
building that chemistry.
100%. And we've talked about that many times, where you need to keep people on your roster that, have been there for quite some time. If they, start to suck, obviously get them out of the building, trade away, or whatever you got to do. But when you have a guy that's consistently growing, consistently getting better, becoming a red zone threat, becoming one of a better blocker in the National Football League at the tight end position, you got to keep that guy around. You got to build that chemistry, because in the end, that only makes your team that much better. And the Cleveland Browns can take all the chemistry at this point that they can get. I mean, obviously with what is his name, Baker Mayfield. His whole situation hasn't been released. He's still on the Browns roster. You're already working towards Deshaun Watson. You bring in Amari Cooper. You get rid of Jarvis Landry. There's not a whole lot of familiarity around the Cleveland Browns right now. So you got to keep as many players that have been there in that building to keep that chemistry and keep that culture the way it is. I mean, it's the dog pound, okay? Once a team that was 0-16 get a playoff berth, they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then this past season, well, shit kind of, went up in flames. It was a mess.
Injury mess.
But I think this is good because, like you mentioned, that red zone threat. I think this season, I feel like when the Browns went and got those two tight ends, I think that kind of put a little fire under David's ass and said, hey, you better pick it up, otherwise you're going to be out of the building. Mm-hmm. Like, you are not going to be our guy going forward if you can't perform on Sundays, Thursdays, and Monday. And David Njoku, throughout the course of the season, I felt, got gradually better. And then when he was at the end of the season, it was like, okay, this guy, he's a red zone threat. He can catch touchdowns. He's going to do whatever it takes to, keep the ball in his hands. So I'm glad the Browns working out a contract extension for David Njoku. I wouldn't expect it to be, a massive contract extension. I'd expect it to kind of be lower in like maybe the 3-year, $20 million range, something kind of low around there, just because he's not great by any means. Okay, he's a solid, he's one of the foundations to that offensive line, to that offense in general. So I think we're gonna see David sign a lower contract extension, but I'm glad that it's getting done. Collin Kaepernick, we talked about him I think it was like last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, where he was kind of back in the news, throwing, doing some workouts, saying, hey, I'm ready to rock and roll every single year before the draft. Well, I believe it was, correct me if I'm wrong, it was either last year or 2 years ago, he did that whole stunt where he was about to work out with a bunch of scouts or in front of a bunch of scouts, maybe in Indianapolis, maybe somewhere else. But then as soon as that was about to happen, he's like, yeah, no. We're going to go do this on my field, on my terms, with my cameraman. If you guys want to come watch me, hey, be my guest. But I'm going to go perform where I'm comfortable performing and not in front of, a lot of NFL scouts, a lot of NFL films, and all that stuff. Well, he says he's ready to rock and roll. And like John said, and like I have said many times, it happens every goddamn year. And I'm getting sick of seeing it. But are we potentially seeing Collin Kaepernick maybe coming back in the NFL?
No.
Why do you say no?
Because if I'm a coach, Collin Kaepernick hasn't played in how many years now?
Man, it's been 6 years maybe.
Yeah, if I'm a coach, because when he gets back, is he going to continue to kneel? He's going to have to justify why he's not going to continue to kneel, or why he's going to continue to keep kneeling.
Right.
If he continues to keep kneeling, it's going to create a shitstorm. It's going to divide the stadium. It's going to divide the locker room. Is it worth bringing a guy that hasn't played in 5-6 years, however long it's been, versus a Jimmy G, versus a Baker Mayfield, who we got film on last year.
Right.
Yep, Baker Mayfield is hurt. Yep, Jimmy G just got surgery. But you kind of have an idea of what you're going to get versus a guy like Collin Kaepernick. You have no clue.
Right.
Even like a Cam Newton. I mean, I would rather take my chances on than Collin Kaepernick.
Especially because I think we talked about it yesterday with the whole T.O. situation, him coming back at the age of 48. It's like, is he ready to take those hits? Is he ready to, go game speed? Because we all know, like, full speed compared to game speed is completely different. I mean,
in being in shape is different than football shape.
No, yeah. No, 100%. Because you can go out and run a 4.40 timed or whatever, but as soon as you step on the football field, you could be running a 4.2. I mean, you could be just flying compared to when you do your 40, or you could be slower. It's just a whole different ballgame. And is Collin ready to take those hits? Is he still accurate? Is he still mobile, agile? Can he still get it done on the football field? It'd be tough to say yes, because at this point it's like, okay, we're getting another rookie. Yeah. Even though he played in the NFL previously, it's like you've been out for so long. You've been out literally a whole bachelor's degree. When you go to college, you have the 4-year whatever. He's literally been out longer than that. So it's like, does he still have
with baggage?
Yeah, with baggage. He still, kept on with the whole kneeling situation, the whole, what is it called?
And even if he stops kneeling, there's still going to be blowback.
Oh, yeah.
Either
he's
way,
not kneeling now. Why couldn't he do this 6 years ago?
Either way, I just don't think it would be the right move. If anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Pete Carroll's crazy ass, because for whatever reason, he thought that he needed to bring him up.
No, exactly. And, well, I think he did it. Well, he probably did it for a reason, but at the same time, who knows? But, hey, Collin Kaepernick, he's a free agent currently. He's going to be a free agent for quite some time. He's going to be holding an exhibition throwing event with some draft-eligible players during halftime of the Michigan Wolverines spring game tomorrow. The NFL club personnel in attendance are permitted to watch the event. So I'm not sure if this is like a side event. Well, it's at halftime. So basically, at halftime, it's going to be Collin Kaepernick on the field. You know, instead of on halftime when they have the bands go out there and do the fucking whole, you know, ordeal that they got going on with their cheerleaders. Yeah, they do that. But Collin's going to take over the show, and he's going to be on the field at halftime going,
Overthrow.
All right, let's run it again.
Underthrow.
Okay. That's what he's going to be doing for the whole halftime of the Michigan Wolverines spring game. It'll be interesting to see what kind of transpires from this. It would be a great time to go get a hot dog. Maybe a couple beers, you know.
Maybe a peanut butter shot with Collin. But come on. Sick of hearing about it.
No, exactly. But we might not, you know, this might not be the end or the last we hear of Collin Kaepernick. Because apparently, like John said, Pete Carroll decided to bring him up. Well, there might be a reason. And I have a feeling it's because the Seahawks general manager, John Snyder, and head coach Pete Carroll have had constant communication with Collin Kaepernick and his team. We might be seeing Collin Kaepernick in a Seattle Seahawks uniform next year. What do you think about those apples? Some bad apples, huh?
You're taking Collin over Baker. I'm not.
No, I'm not either.
Go ahead. Do it. Go ahead. Baker will make him. Somebody will pick up Baker.
We hope.
Before the trade deadline next year, pending the suspension.
Yeah, pending.
If there is a suspension, and if there is, how long it is. But pending that, if Deshaun Watson is back, I see Baker being traded before week 6.
Or released. I don't see him staying in that locker room.
Yeah, me neither. But at the same time, I feel like the Browns want something.
Just
at least
in
a
case.
3rd, 4th round pick.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, well, yeah, because especially when they traded away all their...
Because they're also probably going to have to pick up some of the salary. So it's like, yo, if you want us to help pay for him, then give us something.
Right.
We're giving you our quarterback and we're giving you money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this... Collin Kaepernick, I mean, that's an interesting situation because if the Seattle Seahawks do give him a chance, there's only 2 things that can come of it. And one of them would be he blows dick. Okay, he fucking sucks. That's what's probably going to happen more than likely. He's going to go on that football field. He's going to make a fool of himself. He's going to embarrass himself. And, well, we're never going to hear about him ever again. That's just what might happen. The other thing that might happen is, okay, he comes on the football field. He's a solid quarterback. He's a decent quarterback. He's probably a very, very good backup quarterback. Probably not a starting caliber quarterback at this point, especially because it's been so long since he's been on the field. But like I mentioned, more than likely it's going to be that he steps on that football field and makes a fool of himself.
Does DK want to stay there?
Hell no. Well, in what context, kind of? Like, you think, does DK want to stay there because of Collin Kaepernick, if Collin Kaepernick comes in the building? Or do you think in general?
In general.
See,
I think Lockett will stay there because he's been working out with Kaepernick. But DK, I feel like he feels like he has a better future somewhere else. And I think that he does too.
yeah, I kind of feel that same way because, I mean, there's so many teams that could use a wide receiver. I mean, the Indianapolis Colts need one. The Steelers need one. The Patriots need one. Who else would need one? I mean, there's teams literally all across the NFL. I mean, the Panthers could need one. The Lions could need one. The Bears definitely fucking need one. They don't have Allen Robinson no more. He's a Los Angeles Rams. So there's plenty of teams.
Even someone like the Chiefs could be a possibility. You're getting rid of a freak of nature in the sense of speed. Go pick up another freak of nature in the sense of size and body type.
Hey, DK's fast. You remember him chasing down
is
Buddha?
fast.
You remember chasing down Buddha?
He is fast, but he's not
Tyreek Hill.
He's not slot like Deebo Samuel.
Right.
You're not going to do end arounds with him. He's going to be a guy that
He's going to run right through you.
Yep. But that was another thing that was brought up. They gave up 6 picks for Tyreek Hill. He's a slot.
Mm-hmm.
It's unheard of.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, on the Chiefs, he wasn't necessarily a slot, but that's where he's gonna play most or the majority of the time.
Yeah, and that's his size and his play style is that slot type of receiver. He's not the guy that you're gonna want outside the numbers.
No, because outside the numbers, you want somebody that's tall,
Yeah.
physical, ready to just
And I
go
think
get
the
the ball.
average receiver is at 6'1" range.
Okay.
I think it basically Devontae Adams is like the
Like
prototypical.
the proto, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Devontae Adams, guys like OBJ's right in that range. Guys like that.
Yeah, no, 100%. I definitely agree. Yeah, it's gonna be because there's been rumors surrounding DK and whether or not he's gonna be on the team. And obviously, Pete Carroll has said, that's what we think is going to happen. We want DK a part of this team, but he said the exact same thing about Russell Wilson, literally a day or two before he ends up trading him to Denver, and then they released Bobby Wagner's, and that whole thing goes down. So if they get rid of DK, I mean, that's an instant indication that, okay, we're starting.
Seahawks suck if they get rid of DK.
Oh.
And even with DK, without having a guy like Russell Wilson throwing him, DK without a good quarterback, I think, is a very average wide receiver.
Oh, no, yeah, 100%. And we've seen him very average last year, it felt like.
I think he led the league in touchdowns
Really?
for wide receivers.
Interesting. Maybe a good red zone threat
Yeah.
for him at the time. Because I know he didn't have the yardage.
I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like I heard that.
I mean, it would kind of towards the end of the season, man. It just
Yeah,
once he
he's
made
slowing
those
down.
remarks about Shannon Sharp, you could tell he was starting to dwindle in his production. So DK is definitely. I feel like going somewhere else would definitely benefit his career. Like going to the Colts, I think that would be a very good indication that he could probably still play football. Let's see what we got here.
So, last year, 2021,
Yes, sir.
he had 12 touchdowns, 967 yards, about 13 yards per reception, 12.9, 75 receptions. So, yeah, not terrible. 12 touchdowns, that can't be the lead.
Backup
is it?
receiver numbers, folks.
Yeah, that's a number 2.
If that is the receiving stats that he has, backup receiver. Plain and simple. As soon as he said 12 touchdowns, I said, could have been better. 900 yards, you're not even a 1,000-yard receiver when you're that big, that physical, have Russell Wilson as your quarterback. Even though Russell was hurt for the majority of the season, that could have, definitely played a factor in him not, getting his yards, getting his touchdowns, but...
Yeah, Cooper Kupp had 22. Mike Evans had 16. Jamar Chase 14. Travis Kelce 12. Tyreek Hill 12. So DK Metcalf was right in there.
Right in that range.
Right with Tyreek Hill. Yeah. So I can see him going to the Chiefs
That
if he
too.
doesn't like it. Seattle.
It'd have to be done relatively soonish, but I mean, either way, DK's looking at a situation where he can have maybe potentially Collin Kaepernick as his quarterback, or at this time that we stand right now, Drew Lock. Okay, so I think DK has to make a choice whether he wants to stay in Seattle or just finish his career out in Seattle and then say, all right, let's test the waters here in free agency. Let's go somewhere else. Let's find our own home. But I think maybe demanding a trade, not really demanding, but requesting a trade would probably be in his best interest, I think,
Yeah.
especially with the amount of teams that would love to have DK Metcalf on their organization. But only time will tell.
Yep.
Only time will tell. Which brings me to, our next little thing. So many moves have been made this offseason, right? New faces in new places. Devontae Adams is a Las Vegas Raider. Khalil Mack is a Los Angeles Charger. J.C. Jackson is also a Los Angeles Charger. Charger, that sounds weird. Russell Wilson is a Denver Bronco. Bobby Wagner is a Ram. Von Miller is a Buffalo Bill. Matt Ryan, an Indianapolis Colt. Deshaun Watson, a Cleveland Brown. I mean, the amount of moves that have been made this offseason has been absolutely insane. I mean, to say the least. I mean, it actually made me forget about the arrest of Alvin Kamara when he decided to beat the shit out of some dude.
Totally forgot about that.
Yeah, totally. Because this offseason, probably in recent memory, and you could say this every year, but I mean, like, it is absolutely amazing what we have been able to witness this offseason. It's probably one of the best offseasons that we've seen in quite some time, just because of the amount of moves and the amount of updates and news that has been happening has just been ridiculous. And, you know, some of them nailed it. Some of them didn't. So, John, out of this offseason, what do you believe or what do you think was probably the best move? Who made the best move this offseason? If you had a pick.
I'd have to say I'm in between the Denver Broncos and Browns, fucking Raiders, and who was the other one? Dolphins. I'm leaning towards the Raiders. Just bringing Devontae Adams there, and I think that they picked up some other pieces.
Chandler Jones.
Yep, on defense. So I think the Raiders are going to be one of those sleeper teams next year that are like, well, how much does Adams actually add to this team? Well, they got Adams, who's a lot better than Henry Ruggs was.
Oh, yeah.
They got Darren Waller and Derek Carr, who's a veteran quarterback, sound in that offense, underrated. I think Raiders are going to be one of those teams that you're like, wow, they made the right moves that they needed to make.
Yeah, and I mean, they've always been one of those teams that like right in the middle of the pack. Like they can be so good some days, but other days it's like, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are we doing here? And that kind of keeps them, you know, moving in and out of that playoff contention. And then bam, they might be in, or bam, they're probably out. I mean, they were in this season, but it didn't last long, obviously.
Yeah, we say that Denver made a really good move picking up Russell Wilson. But just because we know that they got talented wide receivers, but are the wide receivers in Denver better than DK and Lockett? That's a very interesting question. Like, I think Sutton's right on that Lockett level.
Yeah.
And he's probably the best wide receiver right now on the Broncos.
Yeah, you could definitely argue that.
Jerry Judy's pretty good, but he's not anywhere near a DK.
No, not yet.
Tight end, they got Noah Fant, which is better. They don't?
Noah Fant was in the trade for Russell Wilson, so Noah Fant is a Seahawk.
Oh.
Yeah. That's a good move for Seattle.
That is. And yeah, I don't know if just Russell Wilson, we're going to find out how good Russell Wilson is, but that's why I think that Denver made better moves as far as the team goes Raiders made better moves than Denver, but they both made big blockbuster trades.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Dolphins did really good too.
Yeah, Dolphins did amazing. I mean, getting the number one rated free agent in Taron Armstead, who was a tackle, he's going to be a freak over there. Tyreek Hill's going to be a freak. That's probably my second closest one to who I'm about to mention here. But there's been a team that, you know, was kind of always in the talks, but they could never get the fans in the building. They had to move the location, and now it seems like they're steadily climbing that mountain. They land a franchise quarterback just a couple years ago in Justin Herbert, and now they have a massive upgrade in this year's offseason. The Los Angeles Chargers, in my opinion, are, you know, one of those teams that we kind of overlook just because of how shitty they've been the past couple years.
One of the reasons why I struggle picking the Chargers for one of my teams during the year, because every single year we talk about them being, they should be good this year. It's kind of like the Cowboys.
Right.
Should be good this year. Look at their roster. They'll be great. We said the same thing last year. What happens? They're almost like the Vikings in that way.
Yeah, no, 100%. You're
Great
not wrong.
team, play great games. They can have success, But as soon as it comes to crunch time, seems like they just can't pull
They
it
just
together.
fall apart.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, it was, you know, you already have a really, really good foundation. But then you add Khalil Mack
Yeah.
and you pair him with Joey
Huge
Bosa
pickup.
on both sides. If Khalil Mack can stay healthy, because I think that was his issue in Chicago the last couple of years, was staying healthy.
Yeah.
And we all know, hey, Father Time is undefeated. And maybe it could just be that happening, or maybe it could just be, you know, the scheme he was in, just random stuff can happen, especially on the football field. But you pair him with Joey Bosa, both of them stay healthy. Then behind them, you obviously have J.C. Jackson's a new addition to their cornerback room, and you still have Derwin James as well over there. So they just locked up Mike Williams to a 5-year, $60 million extension. They locked up Keenan Allen a couple years ago or whatever. So they have set wide receivers. They have a quarterback. Their running back, Austin Eckler, looks phenomenal. Their offensive line, I think it's slowly getting better, and I think we've been seeing that as well. But the Los Angeles Chargers, I think they have something in store for us. It sucks that they're in such a tough division, especially this year.
Yeah.
It's like the NFC West moved to the AFC West, where the Chargers, Raiders, Broncos, and Chiefs now kind of lie. The Chiefs could be a little worse. You never know. The Broncos could be a little bit better. Obviously, they had Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock last year. Now they upgraded to Russell Wilson. Still have technically the same team that they once had, but I feel like that's a massive, massive upgrade for the Chargers to kind of, you know, get over that hump and finally, you know, make a playoff push, be in contention for a potential Super Bowl. I think that was a big move this NFL offseason. What would you think, or what do you think would be, what move probably wasn't the greatest to make this offseason, in your opinion? If there was any moves that probably wasn't great to make.
The Packers getting rid of Devontae. That'd probably be the most questionable thing. I mean, that's a big loss to a team.
You know, it
That's
is.
five wins. I mean, we haven't seen it yet, but he's one. I mean, Rodgers fucking praised about him being the greatest wide receiver in the league and everything. And if that's the case, it's freaking 5 wins that we're giving up by not having a guy like him, and you're not going to be able to replace him.
No.
Not with a rookie, not with one of the guys that are on a roster. It's just going to be, Packers are going to be struggling without him.
No, they definitely are. This one's kind of a tough one. I'm kind of pissed I asked you this because, like that, you bring up a really good point there with the whole letting go of Adams, which, I mean, you could also say that, you know, Aaron Rodgers signing such a big deal was also part of that. It's like, God, you didn't leave anybody any money. You couldn't bring back Za'Darius. You couldn't bring back or keep Adams there.
He
You
can
know,
do it himself.
no, exactly.
He can't do it with him, so I don't think that he's going to be able to do it without him.
When he won that Super Bowl, who was his receivers? Jordy Nelson,
Jordy Nelson,
Randall Cobb?
Greg Jennings, Randall Cobb. Tight end was,
Jeremy Shockey. No,
I don't know, he never played for the Packers.
who am I thinking of?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I think their tight end was Jones. Something Jones.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. Is it James Jones?
Yeah. James Jones.
Yeah, right on the nuts with that one. Yeah, God, he won it with that much firepower.
And the defense was stacked.
Yeah, yeah.
Clay Matthews, A.J. Hawk, Charles Woodson. Fucking
And he even
Nick
broke his
Barnett.
arm or something, I think.
Peppers might have been part of the team at that point. Maybe not. Maybe he was still on the Bears. But I know he came in there at one of those points. I think B.J. Raji. Yeah, we had a good team. And
Yeah.
we're not nearly as good as we are this year as we were last year. So
I think you hit it on the nuts there. I can't think of any other, you know, move that I was like, probably shouldn't have made that one. Probably shouldn't have done that. Definitely that. I think instead of saying that Devontae Adams, I think I'm going to say, like, Rodgers signing that contract.
yeah.
That big of a contract. Really kind of put a nail in your guys' coffin, I feel like, almost. Like, if you get it done, hey, all props to you. Like,
Yeah.
hell yeah.
Prove
but
it, Rodgers.
prove
that you're that good.
Exactly. And if he does prove it, he probably retires and says, see you later. How
Told
you
you.
doing? Yeah. Told you. Didn't need him. Told you. But let's give another one here. A move that you would like to see.
I want to see Baker on the Seahawks. That's what I want to
100%.
see. Yeah.
Any other moves besides that one?
I want to see Baker on the goddamn Seahawks.
That'd be a good one. You know, I'd like to see Julio Jones. I'd like to see Julio Jones go to the Colts and kind of pair back up with Matt Ryan.
That'd be cool.
Because I think, we've seen Julio and Matt Ryan for years just torch people. And I think that chemistry, you can't take that chemistry away for some reason. It's just always going to be there. And I think they know where each other's... We've talked about with Rodgers, right? And having trust in your receivers and knowing that, okay, if Devontae runs this route, he might go a different way. And it's just kind of, I got to guess. And usually when I guess, I'm going to be completely right because I have a feeling of what he's going to do. And I think that would be the same situation with Julio Jones and Matt Ryan for the Indianapolis Colts. And that might just help their offense out that much better. But obviously a massive move that I've been very loud about, and I don't know if it's going to happen, but the Minnesota Vikings have fucking $15 million in cap space. Give me Tyrann Mathieu, please. Okay, we want the Honey Badger over here. We just signed Pat P to a one-year deal. We're going to draft a corner so we can teach him how to do things. We still got Harrison Smith. Our defensive line looks perfect. Okay, Harrison Phillips, Dalvin Tomlinson, Danielle Hunter, Zadarius fucking Smith. Mm-hmm. And then our offense, what do you want? I mean, Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Kirk Cousins, who knows how he's going to do this season, just stole the fucking ball away. But give me the Honey Badger. Give me the Honey Badger, and I think we'll be set, and we can go sign our draft picks later on. But I'm pumped for it. I can't wait for the upcoming days. We got a couple bit of news here before we end the show. The Houston Texans have made a move, and they go out in free agency, and they sign running back Marlon Mack, formerly of the Indianapolis Colts. Kind of lost his step when he got injured, tore his ACL, and then in steps Jonathan Taylor, and the rest has kind of been history. Marlon Mack tried to make an appearance last season, was their third-string running back behind Nyheim Hines, and Jonathan Taylor wasn't getting too many snaps, but I think the Colts and Marlon Mack knew it was time to part ways, let him walk in free agency, and now he is Houston Texan. Your initial thoughts on Marlon Mack to the Houston Texans?
Good opportunity to restart your career. I can see it being pretty similar to the Mark Ingram role.
Think so?
He had in Texas. Yeah.
I could definitely see that. That's definitely... Because I think they have... David Johnson's still down there.
Yep.
Philip Lindsay's not there no more. He went to... Where'd he go? He left last year. Fuck. Anyways, they still got David Johnson. Now they bring in Marlon Mack. I think this is going to kind of rejuvenate his career a little bit. He's still a young guy, I believe like 25, 26 years old. Not too much older than that. He still has a lot left to go. He's not even hit his prime of his career. And when we got to see him perform before he tore his ACL, he was a dog. He was a really good running back. And I like how you said, that Mark Ingram role is probably going to be very much what we see down there in Houston. So good for the Houston Texans. They're going to roll with Davis Mills. They got Brandon Cooks at their wide receiver position. It's going to be really interesting what's going to happen down there because they're not going to be that good. Obviously, new head coach, new system. But
who knows? Maybe
they could win a couple games.
Maybe Lovie Smith can pull his team together.
Let's get her going, Another move, not really a move, but a contract negotiation has been completed. Last year, or during the season, a certain cornerback really grinded my fucking gears saying, I want more money, okay? What I have been able to do the past couple years, I should get more money, okay? You need to pay me what I'm worth. Give me my money. Well, who was that? That was cornerback Xavier Howard of the Miami Dolphins. He gets a massive payday after the Dolphins just trade for Tyreek Hill, get Terron Armstead, build up that offense, that defense, that team is going to look incredible with the new head coach Mike McDaniel. Xavier Howard, the cornerback, the Dolphins cornerback, has agreed to a new 5-year, $50,691,177 in new money. New money. All brand new. As part of the deal, he gets the most guaranteed money for a cornerback in NFL history. Hey, congratulations to fucking Xavier Howard and getting paid. I hate when people bitch about getting money, but hey, it worked out in the end, apparently. So, let's see. Why that exact? Xavier Howard had 3 years, $39.3 million left on his old deal. So, in all, he is now under contract for 5 years, $90 million. Not really sure what the guaranteed portion of that is just quite yet. That news, I'm sure, will break in the coming minutes. But just know he got paid. So new faces, new places, that is what this offseason really entails, okay? Many new faces and new places. With that being said, the NFL season is right around the corner. The draft is coming up later this month. Okay, new rookies are going to be in the building. Who gets cut, who gets released. The Lions are on Hard Knocks training camp this season. Well,
MCDC.
there's also a little bit of an announcement that the NFL has made. The NFL announced the start dates for off-season workout programs. Teams with a new coach can begin as early as April 4th, so Monday. Okay, this coming Monday, that's when they can start with a new coach. While teams with returning coaches can begin as soon as April 18th. The NFL is right around the corner, folks. The NFL never sleeps, and that's why we have to continue to do this every single day to bring you guys, or give you guys your fix. So with that being said, that is all we got for you guys today on the show. We dived into Collin Kaepernick. What is ol'buddy doing? We also dived into the Browns and David Njoku working on a current contract extension, and then gave you our thoughts on what was the best move, what was the worst move of the offseason, what kind of move would we like to see going forward or coming up before the NFL season really gets trucking along. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in, whether that's on Facebook or on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, do me a favor, hit the like, hit the share. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe. It'd be much appreciated. Have a great rest of your day. Stay safe out there. Enjoy this glorious weather. And you just got your fix with the Wicks. Deuces, folks.